So, you wish to transport your e-bike inside your car. There's a number of ways you can accomplish this, and some special considerations that you should take into account specifically for e-bikes. So let's explore those in this video. By the way, stick around and I'll give you some extra tips and techniques in this video, and also some recommended products that makes your life easier. I'm Patrick and you're watching Amped Cycling. Let's jump in. Here on this channel, I love exploring free options for making your e-bike life a bit easier. And the first option we're going to look at is transporting your electric bike inside your car. Now, obviously, you don't have to buy any additional gear, so this is great from that point of view. And depending on the car you have, this may be very practical for you. So this works best with a station wagon, a hatchback type car, or an SUV, where the rear seats of course need to fold flat. You can actually push the bike into the back of the car. You need to be able to fold down your seats, so this is not possible with all cars, but if it works for your car, you should definitely test it out. So what you need to do is lay some cardboard in the back of your car so that the bike doesn't muddy it up, or some tarpaulin perhaps. Remove the e-bike battery, because let's face it, an e-bike is quite heavy and you need to make your life as easy as possible. Ideally, you will do this with two people, so one can drag the bike rather in from the side door, and the other can push the bike in from the back. And then you can test out, see if this is viable for you. And if it is, great. This works great for people who don't need to transport the e-bike so frequently. But there are some downsides. It's a hassle to do this, of course. You need two people. Maybe your car isn't big enough to do this. It dirties up your car, which you may not be comfortable with. And what happens if you want to transport multiple e-bikes? So it's a good option for some, but not for everyone. So let's jump into some other options. Okay, so let's look at some bike racks that you may wish to consider to transport your e-bike with your car. There's three main types: trunk racks, which clip onto the outside of the trunk of your car, or the boot, depending on where in the world you are from. There's rear towing hitch racks, which clip onto the towing hitch. And of course, there's roof racks, which you may have seen other people use on holidays. So let's first explore trunk racks. These are good for those who don't transport your e-bike that often, because they're cheaper and they're easy to clip onto the outside of your car. They're less expensive as well than other types of bike racks. And the good thing as well, if you have multiple cars, they quickly clip off, so you can swap them quite easily between your different cars in your household. They're also far easier to mount the e-bike onto, because it's not that high up compared to a roof rack. So that's really good, especially if you don't have a second person to help you. It doesn't impact your fuel economy because the bike is mounted behind the car rather than on top of the car. So that's the good stuff. The bad sides of trunk mounted racks are that you need to be very careful when you're strapping on your heavy e-bike, because you don't want it to wiggle around at motorway speeds. It could scratch your car. It does block your view out the back. If you have a particularly long car and you're adding additional length, this could be a problem in shorter parking bays, so you need to be extra mindful of that. If you are reversing and you forget you have it on, this could lead to an expensive accident, and you may need an additional rear license plate and rear lights if the view is blocked by the bikes. And there's an increased risk of theft, of course, if you leave your bikes unattended on the car. So let's jump into the other types of racks next. So trunk racks are actually my recommended option, because they offer the least hassle when it comes to transporting your e-bike, especially if you do it frequently. You need, of course, to have a hitch mount point already on the back of your car. Obviously this won't work without it. They come in different variants, so you can get models that are designed for one bike, two bikes, three bikes, even four bikes. So there's loads of options out there. You do need to be aware of the maximum weight that your towing hitch can actually handle, the weight of the hitch itself or the mount itself, plus the weight of the e-bikes. Of course, you can reduce the weight by firstly removing the e-bike batteries, but please keep the weight in mind. It's really important. You know, if you're mounting 4 e-bikes on the back of your towing hitch, this is a significant weight. There are some higher end models that actually have ramps. This is great if you don't have anyone to help you loading up the bikes, and also spare your back, of course. There's less risk of damage to the outside of your car, scratches and so on, when their bikes wiggle around at high speed compared to trunk racks. And of course they're much easier to load compared to a roof rack. Some actually fold backwards so that you can still access the trunk even when the bikes are mounted and loaded on the rack itself. So yeah, all this leads to these being great options for frequent use. The downsides are that they tend to be quite expensive. The budget models do block access to the trunk. Your view, of course, out the back is slightly blocked. It may, if you have bikes on the back, it may block the parking sensors, so reversing you need to be extra careful, of course. And it's similar to a trunk rack, short parking bays may be a problem because it extends the length of your vehicle. So lastly, let's look at roof racks. Roof racks are popular with e-bike owners as they offer some advantages that the other options that we've looked at actually don't offer. So they can actually handle e-bikes that have quick release wheels. So this is a great option if you wish to transport your bike. They offer various mounting points so you can handle different situations, which is really good to know. They don't block your rear view, unlike trunk or hitch mounted racks, of course, and they don't block your parking sensors. And of course then the length of the parking bay is not a concern, and of course you don't need any rear license plate holder or light holders as the rear of the car is completely unblocked. They do have some downsides, of course, the biggest one being that loading is not easy. You will most likely need 2 people to do this, especially with heavy e-bikes. You should also, of course, take off the battery to make your job easier. You need to strap it on carefully, of course, normally there's some clamps that go on the wheel. You need to do this extra carefully so the bike doesn't wiggle around, especially at highway speeds. It does reduce your fuel economy of your car. When you're driving in the wind and rain, you're going to need to put a cover over the bike because blasting high-speed rain into your battery terminals or other electrical components isn't a good idea. Forgetting that your e-bike is on the roof when driving into a garage is going to lead to an expensive accident. So you need to be really mindful of this. Yeah, and it's not a great option for long distance or highway driving for those reasons. So that's the pros and cons of roof racks. So guys, that's the video concluded. I've gone on quite long, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to get even more information on the various racks and options, and even bonus content for SUV owners, and even some recommended specific racks, check out my article, link in the description. It should give you all the information you need to make an informed purchase. So with that, see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it.